now. Recording. 3, 2, 1. Hey, good morning, good afternoon. How are everybody? Pete Caliendo. This is Copabe Play Ball. Welcome. We're a brand new show today, and we hope that you will be listening to something extremely special today. Because again, remember, Copabe Play Ball covers the Confederation of Pan American countries in North Central South America and the Caribbean islands. And also it's going to be streamed on Baseball Outside the Box, along with YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and we're all over ESPN Honolulu also. So thanks, folks, for joining Copabe Play Ball. Today, guess what? Man, we're going to have an interesting talk. We are heading to the island of Belize. Yes, and we got 4 gentlemen here that they have started baseball there. Actually, baseball was going on, and then they kind of got involved, and now they're really helping develop the sport there. But it's a brand new to us, and I know to a lot of our audiences, we want you to know what's going on in Belize. So let me welcome, I'm going to do my best here to do the introduction. I'm going to welcome Tony Smith to the show. Also, Andrew Trammell, Joel Watt. Help me out, Joel.
Run scratch.
Is it run scratch or watt scratch? Well, folks, you might have heard run scratch, but it's not a watt scratch. And Richard Runway. What's up, guys? How you all doing?
We're good. Good night.
We're
good
good.
night.
We're good, Peter. Great to
Well,
be
glad
here.
to see you all. This is a special podcast having, 4 guys on here talking about baseball development. It's going to be a lot of fun talking about Belize baseball, how it all started. And here's the way we're going to do it, folks, because I think I want people in Copabe to know each and every one of you. Hey, Tony, I want you to give a background, a little bit how you got involved in baseball, where you grew up, and how this all got started.
Yeah, good night, guys. My name is Anthony Smith, but my friends call me Tony like Peter. And I grew up playing baseball in Chicago since I was the age of 10 years old. I played Little League, I played high school, I played American Legions. After that, I started coaching baseball down here in Belize, and I'm still playing baseball right now. I play in Mexico, and I also play with Andrew right here on an adult team that we created here in Belize. And I grew up as a pitcher and a center fielder, and I plan to play baseball until I'm old and I can't throw no more,
Yeah, it looks like you could still play too. You can tell from the video. You're ready to go.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, tell us about your background. How where'd you start? Where'd you grow up? And how'd you get involved in all of a sudden developing? I mean, we're talking about developing a sport in a country. That's not an easy task. Tell us how you started.
Well, it's kind of funny because I grew up in Chicago as well. We got a lot of Chicago representation here. So shout out to the beautiful city of Chicago. Yeah. So, growing up, I started late. I was probably 7 years old, second leg of that farm before you enter that thoroughbred Mustang leagues over in Buffalo Grove, Illinois. And so, I just I tried to pick up wherever I could, wherever they could find me. I was a brand new player, and I just was naturally pretty gifted at scooping balls. They threw me at first base. And I inevitably got myself over to behind the plate, where I really, really loved it. I just emulate anything I could see. I used to go to the White Sox games. I used to go to the Cubs games. And when we're talking about development, behind the plate, I really, really loved it. Organizationally, I always we would always call them the lovable losers, as everyone knows. And so I was a White Sox fan just based on the fact that they would just lose and throw $10 million at Todd Hundley. I said, I'm probably better than him. So, I know you remember that contract. That was a big contract.
Hey, I love the honesty, and I got to be honest with the folks on Facebook. If you got any questions, we already got people popping up. Listen, this is going to be a great time to ask questions. And I got to tell you, Andrew, the other thing is, I want the audience to know, yeah, we got a lot of Chicago guys on here, but baseball is a small world, but it must not be that small because I'm from Chicago and I grew up here. And this is the first time. And folks, this is the first time that I'm meeting these gentlemen. So this is an honor for me because, again, small world, but yet we've never met in a game of baseball. Andrew, continue, man.
Sure, man. So, I made my way. I actually was in high school, and I had a horrific appendix emergency surgery. So my appendix burst, and I kind of saw that window close. I really thought I could go probably play D1 or D2 and make my way into some farm league. That's how I felt. I also played soccer over in Stevenson High School. And from the moment that happened, I started to gear myself towards more of like instruction, coaching, training, things of that nature. I ended up becoming a personal trainer over at the gym there and just constantly staying involved with sports. My mother's from Belize. She's actually born in the city. of Belize right there, and on George Street, which is kind of well known here, maybe not as in a Chirac capacity as George Street. Didn't used to be that way, but you know, just kind of making my way here, seeing how things went, watching boys playing softball, I lost my mind. So I said, this is a perfect opportunity for me to go. Next time I end up making it to Belize, I'm going to bring my glove. I'm going to bring my cleats. I'm going to do everything I can to help these kids really see where the potential can go. And it turns out they have a lot of damn potential.
Awesome. And we're going to talk about that potential, Andrew. We're going to talk about that. And folks, I got to throw this in, but Copabe, you know, the people in Copabe aren't going to know this, but talk about a small world. Okay. He mentioned Stevenson High School. Dino Moran was here last night at my house.
Bravo, Dino.
Coach, former Marine, coach at Stevenson High School. I mean, guys, you're exactly, I mean, we're best buddies after you told me all this. Hey,
Dino told me.
Hey, Dino told me
that. Yeah.
Did Dino say something?
Well, no, when my appendix ruptured, I mean, he knew who I was. And he said, buddy, if you're not going to be able to hit the cages by February, you know, I got a spot for you, but you're going to have to work your way up. And I just wasn't cleared till April. Like me and him were really close.
And that's Dino, straightforward, and you got to work. And I'm sure you guys have that same mentality, because I read some of the things on Facebook and some of the websites where, you know, you want to make sure these kids, young players, they work hard and do the right things all the time. So I think that's big. Hey, Richard, I'm going to jump to you before I get to Joel, because I can't pronounce Joel's last name. I screwed it up, and I told him I was going to screw it up. And I apologize to everybody in Copabe. I didn't get the name right. But Richard, talk about your background. How did this all happen? Where are you from? And how did you what'd you do in baseball? You coaching?
Yeah, you bet. So I grew up in the Northeast, and so I played just like Tony and Andrew, you know, all little leagues, all through varsity baseball, American Legion, and I also played amateur ball as well, both actually during high school and then up in college. So around that time, you know, baseball has always been, I'm a Bostonian fan. So all Boston sports, you know, my dad born on Cape Cod. So we're all raised as Boston Red Sox fans. So we actually, a lot of drawing that goes on between which city is better in baseball, you know, Chicago versus Boston, between Andrew, Tony and I, right? So a lot of drawing there that goes on, but, you know, sort of that love of baseball is really in my blood. So, you know, I've moved around a lot in the U.S. I went from the Northeast, living in Boston, all the way down to Florida, Arizona, and then I finally settled up in the Pacific Northwest, and that's when I started to had my kids. And my oldest is an 11-year-old boy now, and the kid loves baseball, right? So I grew up coaching him all the way from t-ball all the way until we moved down to Belize February 1st of this year. And so we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary here of living in Belize. You know, basically we were escaping the lockdowns of the Pac Northwest. And I'm a scuba diver, so I need to be down in the tropical air anyway, right? It's tropical waters, tropical air in Belize. It really doesn't get much better. But it was really hard for me because I was coaching with two other very close friends up north in Washington. Very good baseball coaches, and we had a great bunch of kids, and we had a great bunch of parents, and it was amazing a culture that we had there in baseball. I was also part of the board of directors there for the Little League in my town. So it was very hard for me to make that decision to leave all of that and move down to Belize. But one thing led to another, and it actually made it happen. So when I came, even before I moved down here, I was reaching out to say, is baseball going to Belize? You know, where do I find it? How can I stay involved? How can I get involved? I can make sure my son keeps playing, what have you. So, you know, I found some people, but it wasn't really until I got down to Belize and I met Andrew and I met Tony, and it was probably like April or May of this year, and instant synergy. I mean, the energy there. We all share the same passion, and so we have a dream of basically taking our love of baseball and building that entire program here in Belize. So we'll get in more to that, you know, during this call. We'll talk about the various things that we have in play, things we're doing. But you know, I'm just happy to be here. and to be a part of really build something special for the country of Belize baseball.
Yeah,
So.
and I'll throw this in 1975 when I was a young kid, man. I was watching the Boston Red Sox. I was cheering for the Red Sox over the Reds. 1975 World Series. You guys, the other guys are too young for this. But 75 World Series, one of the best World Series ever that I've ever seen.
Was that Carlton Fisk?
Absolutely. Carlton Fisk, Bernie Carbo, all the group. I mean, Dwight Evans, you name it. Pete Rose, Concepcion, Foster on the other side. Unbelievable names on them, but just unbelievable series, right? Game 7 all the way down to the wire. I have that on cassette tape. I taped it when I was a young kid. I still have that. Hey, speaking about our fourth hitter, this is the looks like the power hitter, right? Batting fourth, Joel. You're building a home in Belize. You're sitting there right now in a home that you're building, still not finished. Tell us about your story, man.
Yeah, I grew up playing Little League. I grew up in a little town about the size of the town I live in Belize right now, about 16,000 people up in northern Illinois, 10 miles from the Wisconsin border.
Oh, yeah.
My next door neighbor happened to be Chuck Hiller, who played for the San Francisco Giants. He was in the World Series and has the impetus that he was the first national leaguer to hit a grand slam in the World Series against the New York Yankees. They lost that series, unfortunately, but he was in that series. So we would go to Wrigley Field all the time to watch the Giants play the Cubs, okay? And I watched the Giants, but I fell in love with the Cubs, all right? So that's the yin and the yang here. I'm the Cubs fan in the bunch, in the group here.
But we're White Sox.
Yeah, we don't care about that. So when Rich says that, or when you say 1975 was a great World Series, I tend to go to 2016 as far as the best World Series.
Absolutely, you got to say that's pretty close, both of them. I agree with
2004 guys from my Boston Red Sox.
All right, whatever. So I played
05.
Yep.
I didn't hear the White Sox in there. There you go.
05. We had some of the best pitchers.
We don't get anything done at our meetings because we do this.
Just setting the tone here. This is how it is.
Go ahead, Joel. I got you. Go ahead.
So I played Little League. I played high school ball. We were first place in our league in high school baseball. I was voted most valuable player on the team as a catcher. So a lot of us here are catchers, and they seem to be the best coaches. So I'm kind of glad they're all here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I did that. After high school, I went and played 1 year in college at SIU Carbondale. I rode the Pines, and after going through about 3/4 of the season, I could see that they didn't have me in their plans. So I quit baseball down there and waited until after college, where I played in a over 30 league up until I was 46 years old. So I played quite a bit after I left college. So,
how'd you connect with these guys?
and I was looking to move to Belize, right? I had married my sweetheart, who was from Belize, from Orange Walk here. I was looking and researching what's going on with baseball in Belize, because that, again, is my passion. So I'm checking it out, and I see that they were starting a federation down in Belize, and I watched their press conference, and I saw Anthony and Andrew were both at this press conference talking about baseball in Belize. And so I reached out to Anthony by email. He got back to me. We got talking back and forth. And I guess it was probably about 5-6 years ago when I came down here, we met and found out that we're basically related. And here we are. So awesome. At that point, I said, well, I'm going to help you any way I can in the States until I move here. So I've been basically spearheading donations in the U.S., sending them down to Belize, either through his mother up in North Chicago or through a service that ships it down to Belize. So I've been
Joel, and we're going to talk about those donations because I want people to know about it. I also want to mention, because I look down once in a while, it's not because I'm not paying attention, it's because I see a lot of people on Facebook, just a little pressure on you. I know 2 college coaches, I won't mention their names right now, 2 top ones that are listening to the show. But there's a lot more people listening to the show on Facebook. That's not even counting Twitter and YouTube, folks. Again, this is Copave Play Ball, and we're talking about Belize baseball. We're going to jump right into it. Anthony, I'm going to start with you, and here's where I want to start because, obviously what I think the folks can hear is the love of the game from everybody that just spoke. Okay, I think that's something that keeps you guys together, brought you guys all together. The love of baseball, the love of development. You're obviously in a super place, with the weather, perfect. I mean, you guys can play all year round, right? And then you can play all year round. That's a huge benefit. But let's go into the history a little bit, Anthony, of Belize baseball, because there was a point where they were playing, then it stopped, and there's a major leaguer that was involved. Talk a little bit about that. I want the people to know a little bit about the history, and then we'll get into what you guys are pretty much doing now.
All right, well, so baseball was played back in 1960. Back in the day, it was played big time. We also had Gary Matthews came here, Hank Aaron, and it stopped and started playing back again in 1991, which around those times, there was a Belizean that moved to New Orleans. His name was Reynaldo Chito Martinez, who got drafted by the Baltimore Orioles, and he played for them for about 3 years. And when he stopped playing in 1993, baseball stopped playing in Belize from 1991 to 1993, stopped playing, and it died for about 29 years. He had a son named Drew Martinez that got drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers and New York Mets. He went to the University of Memphis. He was a great outfielder. He was a great hitter. But Drew went back to coach the same college he graduated from because he loved coaching. He loved the game. And so we've been in Belize. I've been in Belize about 10 years. And I thought baseball wasn't played in Belize. And I only saw softball. And I said, man, I can't play softball because I might hurt somebody throwing hard. Because I throw hard, you know what I'm saying? So I ended up meeting these guys and they were doing baseball. And so I said, my old baseball gear, I'm going to donate to you guys, right? And my mom ended up investing like over $1,000 worth of baseball equipment, brand new barrel full baseball equipment. We started baseball. I ended up meeting Andrew. And from ever since, we've been pushing for baseball. He's a catcher. I'm a pitcher. I love throwing with him because he throws hard. So we've been pushing baseball and try to revive baseball from 29 years ago in a small country of Belize, which is a Caribbean country, just like Cuba, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Venezuela. We also have Venezuelans here in Belize. We have Nicaraguans. We have coaches. We have experts. We have a physical developer who deals with the biomechanics of baseball. So we've been trying to revive the sports. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of prospects. We have kids from the age of 8 and up that can be something big,
I was thinking, as you're talking, I was also reading, and I think this is very interesting. I was reading that in Belize, the WGN was big there, right? The Cubs.
Yeah, WGN was big because back in Belize, they only had one channel, which was WGN. So Belize is the second biggest fan base out of Chicago. Everybody here, if you see everybody, they got on Cubs hat, Cubs shirt. They can talk about it. They can talk about Jim. What was his name? What was it? Carrie Wood. They can talk about take me out to the ball game, So the fan base is big, but just it died and nobody kept pushing it. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to push it on a higher level to make baseball bigger and better. We're here to do a lot of damage in baseball in Belize.
Awesome. And I got a feeling you guys are going to do a great job. I'm going to jump to Richard, but remember, anybody wants to jump in, hit that hand and you can add. Richard, we were talking about earlier, about Belize, where the baseball's at, part of the country, explain kind of the overall what's going on in Belize baseball wise also.
Yeah, so right now we have several contacts in different regions or what they call districts around Belize. So there's a large number of teams down in the southern part of Belize. We have folks in Belize City. We currently live in what's called the Cayo district. So Andrew, Tony, myself, we're all in basically Belmont Pond is the capital city of Belize. And so it's probably the largest district in Belize. And there's other areas, Orange Walk is another area that's more northern Belize. So the goal really is to really bring all these different districts together under a more unified structure and be able to build really a strong youth program, starting all the way from T-ball and building all the way up. It's just like a very similar model as to how the U.S. sort of does and structures their age group. So we've all been working with a couple of our contacts who, and actually his name is Derek Jones. He's actually one of the guys one of the last guys to actually play youth baseball here in Belize. Working with him, there's also a gentleman named Jermaine Crawford, who's also very instrumental in terms of youth programs. He's actually a school principal. So we're leveraging a lot of different people, a lot of different networks here, people that already have things that they've been doing in the past. We want to bring everything together and build a very strong program, all those districts, and then create a level of competition across multiple age groups, across those districts, and just drive more interest. And again, we're doing this for the youth, right? We're trying to help out youth, give them something to do. COVID's been hard on everyone around the world. So we're trying to this is a means for us to bring them, all these kids, out of the woodwork and show them something different than just playing football or soccer for those of us in the U.S. We're really, as you can see, we're really passionate about really building that entire program here in Belize.
You know what? I'm not sure. I'm going to either ask Anthony or Joel. Either one could answer, so anybody could answer it. But because I'm not sure exactly who understands Belize baseball the most. I'm hoping most of you do. But here's the area. Before we get into the question, I was looking online, and I see this title. I see David Ross invited by Belize Tourism Bureau to come vacation for free. Okay, but that's all I see. I didn't see anything else. Did David Ross actually come down? Did he take that offer, or was it an offer by the tourism board and it just never happened?
Grandpa has not arrived. No.
Okay, we got to get Grandpa there, and I'll tell you why. And I bring that up only because I'm going to laugh. In our USA team at 15, 16 years old, between 90 and 96, I was one of the coaches and director of the program. David played for us. That's as a 15-year-old. So when I saw that title, I had to ask. I was like, yeah, man, that'd be great. I mean, a free vacation. And of course, he was probably playing in the big leagues at the time. Maybe he couldn't come down. But maybe that we can make that happen in the future. You never know. We'll try to connect with them. But here's my question. I think it's important because remember, this Copave Play Ball, we want to give people as much information about baseball there. And a big question will come up, and we talk about it a lot on the show. We know if people are crazy if they don't think the grassroots is where you have to start when you develop a game. I think everybody understands that. You got to develop at the grassroots level. Yes, eventually you need some national teams and some other goals for kids to reach. I get all that. But right now, what do you think the numbers are on Belize? We know this from Anthony telling me offline that obviously population-wise, you're bigger than Curacao. Curacao has a per capita more major leaguers than anybody in baseball. Okay, there's more major leaguers come out of Curacao per capita than anybody. Belize has that, obviously, that opportunity to get to that level one day because you have the numbers, you have the weather, and you got kids. But right now, how many kids are playing baseball? Give us an idea where that's at, and it's mostly baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking on the scale of baseball, then we're probably looking at anywhere in the range. We're going to get to all these points, right? Talking about education, about classroom and all this stuff. But
yeah, we'll get together.
In Belmont Pond, I would consider our numbers at the height or any type of active status within that 30 to 40 range.
40 what?
40 kids.
Okay.
Yeah, and that goes from basically age 5 at the minimum, 5, 6 to about 17.
If you had to guess the whole country, if you just had to take a guess.
Right. So that's kind of what I'm getting at, because that's where we know active baseball is being played. If you want to talk about penciling in the rest, really it's about 150.
Okay.
We're aware of, but we wouldn't say that they're doing any type of considerable training or practicing, even getting little scrimmages involved like we are. I know that they're there. It's just that I would have to say that we're probably the most active. So that's why I'm giving you that number. Penciled in with our Belize City affiliates as well, that we always kind of collaborate with and do stuff all over the place. So
yeah, and one thing I do get because of all the countries we've been in, Joel, and I know maybe you can answer this for me. I know one of the goals eventually, and I know it doesn't happen right away. Matter of fact, sometimes in some countries it doesn't happen in 100 years. Because you're always going to have different factions. You're going to have different ideas, different people wanting to do things. But ideally, and I know you guys have this passion, ideally, you want to grow the game together with everybody, hopefully at one day. I know it can't happen right away, but talk about those goals, Joel, what you guys want to do there.
Yeah, I mean, that's where these three guys come in big time. These guys are in Belmopan, which is the capital. We see that as the area that we need to concentrate on, build up baseball there, get it in some leagues, get a world-class campus built, baseball campus where we can have an academy, where we can have the baseball field, where we can have hitting and base running and you name it, pitching going on there. If we can do that in Belmopan, we met with the mayor of Belmopan about 2 months ago. She was very helpful. She was very receptive to what we had to say. We told her we wanted to take over a field that wasn't being used right now. And she said that she would try to help us any way she could. And she said, get your monies together and let's keep talking. So that's where we're at right now. We're trying to build up in Belmopan, get a world-class facility built, use that for an academy, and bring these people from other districts of Belize to play there, and then build these same facilities in each of the 5 districts of Belize. So that's our main goal, okay? Awesome. But we would much rather start at the grassroots, build it, and train and build coaches, okay? These 3 are coaches bar none, okay? Mm-hmm. And so if we can replicate these 3 guys, and have that in all districts in Belize, we're going to have a great baseball league.
Awesome. Well put. And listen, the other thing about all this, and here's how we're going to do this. Maybe anybody could answer this, because sometimes I'm not sure exactly who has a specific skill level. But, okay, so we got the idea, and I know we understand that we've got to develop the grassroots level. With development, the two things have to occur. One, you mentioned it, coaching, and coaching development is critical. We're going to get into that. But before you even got coaching development, or with coaching development, you also have to attract kids to come to the sport. So that's what Andrew was talking about earlier, the school systems. Talk about, because everybody has different ideas, and it's interesting to spread those ideas, because it could also help other countries in case they've never heard of it. I hear this all the time. Let's go to the schools and get the kids to play, because obviously you're competing against other sports. Soccer is a big sport all over the world. So you're not the only one competing against soccer. Everybody is around the world. Baseball is not the most exciting sport in a lot of ways. I've coached it 39 years, and I'm the one telling you it's not exciting all the time. It may be exciting to you as a coach, but sometimes to a player, when practice is boring, or when the games, they're not getting a ball hit to them, that's not a whole lot of fun. So my point here is, talk about the goals that you guys have, how to get kids to play and come to the clubs, or because that's the other thing I want you to explain. Are there clubs? Are there teams? How's that going to be organized?
Well, the goal is, like you were saying, is what we've been doing is we go to the schools and try to attract kids. If at our show in the school, 50 kids show up and only 30 stays, that is good, or even 20, that is good to get kids. So we go to different schools in Belize, and that's how we do it. We go to different districts and do baseball camp to attract more people. And the goal is for, like Coach Joe was saying, is to go around the different districts and attract and create more teams, like have 12 teams under association for right now. And from there, and help them out with gears and training, show them the right way how to do it. And so we're going to create this league. You're going to have Little League. You're going to have T-ball, Little League. You're going to have high school baseball. Then you're going to have the adult or the senior baseball, which is what we play on, And then the best player out of districts, you're going to have all the schools challenge each other. And there's going to be the best winning team of that district. And they play against all 5 districts, the best of the best, and then the national,
And is that run? That's not run by the schools. That's run by individual coaches that you guys are organizing.
We run it. We run the organization and everything. Like we host adult baseball games here in Belmopan, or in Belize, for the first time ever. We've been to Guatemala. We came in 2nd place. We played against a semi-pro pitcher from Texas, from the you call it the Pajo leagues, but now they change it to the MLB minor leagues, right? And then we play in Mexico. We have played there against our team. So now Guatemala and Mexico, the countries closest to us, want to come here to play baseball. So the goal is to host baseball here for other countries so they can see that there's a lot of talent here and baseball is big here in raw talent.
I get that, Anthony. I get that, but okay. But I want to drill down to the young kids, because what I want to know is, you get the kids out of the school. Now you're going to put them on a team. Somebody's got to coach those teams. Eventually, you're going to need more coaches. So now you're in the next phase of it, developing coaches and also trying to get coaches. It's not easy to get volunteers to coach baseball. And then also, like you guys said, to train them. So talk about that a little bit, how maybe some goals you might have. I get it. You may not have the system all set yet, but maybe some goals on how you're trying to go.
Sure. So, Peter, I was listening to the one you had literally just done previously with that Haitian gentleman, and he kind of prefaces like it was almost the same exact thing that we were doing when we're talking about recruiting kids. As we kind of show up, we make contact with the principal or hopefully the athletic director if they have one, set up a demonstration, invite them to the field. Okay, this is the first batch. I'd call this like the first batch, first wave of our players here. So within this amount of players that we have, I would consider probably 55% of them potential coaches in the future. And during this COVID thing, it kind of slowed down, right? So you would see a lot of them where they were athletically, sound and stuff. You're just not seeing it now. So it's like it's kind of a harsh awakening for them to see that they're probably going to get surpassed because they lost that period. And if they're watching, they're looking at us. We're not diminishing anything. All we're saying is that you're going to stay with us a lot longer than these players that are going to be coming after you, because our goal is to get them out. If you guys are going to be here with us, you're 23, 24, you're playing in our senior league, you are going to be our primary coaches, and we're going to start to disperse out. Given the fact that they learned every single step, every single mode of discipline, the hard practices, any little slight hiccup in discipline, we're going to go run, we're going to go sprint, we're going to do these things. You're not going to touch a ball or glove. The fact that these first tier of kids, these first wave know that is going to help us in the long run, because that's what I foresee as being coaches. I would love to have volunteers, I would love to have the parents show up. It's just not happening. Right.
No, so, and that makes sense. No. Hey, let me tell you, I think you guys are heading in a great direction. My other question on that area, and I want to stick with this, and again, anybody else can add. My other question in this, I see I got a raised hand here. Who's got the hand up? I missed it. My fault.
Joe.
Yeah, Joe, go ahead. You add, and then I'll ask the question.
Yeah. Banking on what he has said, we are, again, at the grassroots, trying to build in Belmont, building coaches, building teams, building a league. From there, we've got to take that and start duplicating it, okay? And the only way to do that, we see it, the only way to do that is to get the fire in the belly of other coaches, okay? Once we have, and we have people going out to the other districts, as Rich was saying, but as far as them building on what we have set as the groundwork, okay, we'll be able to duplicate that over time. Our goal is not to have baseball in every Belize district within the next 6 months, but hope is within the next 2 years, we are covering 4 of those districts. Within the next 3 years, covering 5 districts, okay? So that's just what we're looking at. And like I said, we meet, it's kind of tough with me and being in the US and them being here, but we meet every week to strategize and put together a philosophy. We also have a guy that helping us from Baseball Without Borders that has helped us along the way and given us some ideas as far as the academy and stuff. But that academy, as we see it, is going to be a magnet, okay? As we start putting these teams in other districts, then bringing them into an academy and giving them more than they could get just in that district. That's
let me
Joe, go ahead. Richard, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to build off on what Joel said here. So I've got some, it really boils down to some very fundamental things, right? So I mentioned before building that structure, right? To build off what Joel said, our goal here, actually, right in the new year in January, is to basically and I got to be honest, they're kind of looking at us to drive a lot of these things, right? Because we were so involved with Belmont Penn, the rest of the country and our contacts are really we're leveraging some of their experience, but we're trying to push and drive things in terms of resource investment, the setting up the fundamental structure, having a unified structure that everyone buys into, one single mission of what we're trying to do. So everyone can buy into that mission and understand, here's the current state, here's where we're going, right? And how are we going to get there? So having a structure that everyone can buy into across all the districts. What we're also trying to do is, in order to drive interest with the kids in the schools, because of the complexities that COVID has caused, what we're trying to do is everything we're doing, like this right here, it's about the marketing. It's how do we find different vehicles to get our message out there, since we can't be in the schools and doing what we want to be doing, going in there and actually doing that. So once we actually get to that point when we can be in the schools and the COVID things start to relax a little bit more and sort of, I'll say it, try and go back to the way it used to be. In the meantime, we're doing all these types of marketing strategies. You look at Andrew and Tony wearing those t-shirts right now, leveraging this type of podcast and getting the message out. Other things that we're going to be doing, running around, touring different districts, doing like little demo camps, all those things, and pictures and films, videos, we're trying to build that to help build the message, to get the message out there, to say, look, we're serious about this. Here's the structure, and here's the different types of things that we're doing. And we've actually made investments. We now have, over the past 3 months, we have a 55-foot batting cage net that is now here in Belize, with the intent to build an actual a structure where we have a batting cage for both batting and pitching. We have other devices that are made by Jugs, the Jugs products that actually allow kids to work. We have a pitching machine that we purchased as well. So we have all these resources, and we're spending money to demonstrate, like, look, we're serious about this. We want to build a Class A program here in Belize of doing that. So it's the marketing, it's the resources, the investment, and then going after, sponsors, sponsorships, and, just getting people that share the same vision, people from the US, people from other Caribbean countries, to say, we want to help these guys succeed, because then we can play them. We can play different teams, different countries. So it's really important, so that's where we're going.
And you guys brought up some great points, because it's not just baseball. It's about developing a business. It's like a business, basically. If you don't run like a business, it's going to fail. Now, here's what I'd love to get into, because you're all, have been in the US. Some of you have played, you've coached in it. There's a lot of things that you learned when we're, as Americans in the game of baseball. But there's also a lot of mistakes we've made here in the US when it comes to developing the game. I want to hear from maybe each and one of you things that you've learned so you don't make that mistake that we've made here in the States down in Belize, because you're starting pretty much from scratch, which is great, because you can mold it in a good direction, let's say. So who wants to start? Whoever wants to start on that, something that you want to, and you're not criticizing anybody, you're just you're learning, right? Might as well learn faster by looking at the mistakes some people made in the States and not make that same mistake twice.
Yeah, one of the mistakes is to push hard and don't give up, and every player is valuable. That's one of the things I've learned. And talk to your players, train each one of them. Work hard. They have to be good student athletes. Everybody, we got to help each other out. We got to help each other out in baseball. What you learn on the field is what you're gonna take in real life. What you learn in a diamond, you take in real life, like discipline, fundamentals, how to each other like brothers. That's what I learned in baseball. Baseball for me was a sport that kept me out of trouble. Was going in Chicago from the street, gangs, drugs. I never did none of those, because baseball was a place I can go and release my stress. And I want these kids here in Belize to see that baseball can change your life. Baseball can take you to a positive direction.
Joel, go ahead. Follow up.
Yeah, I was going to go there too. That we don't see the problem being kids not being interested. Okay, we know that kids don't have a lot of outlets in Belize. Okay, we know that if we can dangle a carrot in front of them that says, this will keep you off the street, this will give you some knowledge, this will give you some teamwork, this will give you all those things that can make you successful in any part of life, not just baseball. If we can do that, if we can dangle that carrot in front of the Belize kids, and we found and I don't want to generalize, but in Belize, children are some of the most, they are looking for attention. They are looking for someone to take them. And when Andrew is tough on them and says, here, you need to do this, they're receptive to that. They love that. Okay. So as I've looked at the US over the years, I've seen a lessening of interest in baseball. Sorry about the firecrackers. A lessening about interest in baseball here in the States. And what I'm saying is we are ripe. We are ripe for baseball. So you're right. We need to figure out what are those things that we can do that are going to avoid the mistakes that were made in the US and build it here in Belize.
I think one of the challenges, personally for me, I mentioned it earlier, was coming down from the U.S. was the group that I worked with, the teams that I coached. The parents were just amazing. Like all the parents loved each other. They're all like, they all come to the games. A lot of support. I haven't seen a lot of that same dynamic here yet in Belize. So I want to find a way to, like, how do I connect with the parents, or how do we connect with the parents and get them out there and say, look, that goes back to like the message, right? So this is the message. This is what we're trying to do. This is what we can do for your children. And so, it's like, come out, like show support for your kids. Well, if you need help, we'll also try and give you help if you need to. If your kids are struggling in school, we'll find a tutor, right? We have a very good a female softball player, because female softball was and is still pretty popular here in Belize. And so she actually comes and practices baseball with us, with the youth, with the adults. She's very good. And there's a lot of other really good women out there that play softball. Guess what? They can play baseball too. So, sure. We're really trying to get that message out there where we want it to be youth, male, female. We want to really get that message out there, like baseball, and make it here to stay and make it strong. But we need cooperation from everybody, and that includes the parents too.
So it looks like Peter it looks like he left. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but we could probably still kind of piggyback off this idea. I guess I'll give my 2 cents on it. Is there were times where there were some players who kind of excelled, and they were dominating in my leagues, growing up in BGRA, Buffalo Grove there. And they were almost kind of shunned out. They were kind of outcasted because they didn't want, although it was recreational, they still didn't want these particular players to dominate over certain kids that just weren't at that level. I think that for our sake, as we I say, go ahead, Stefan, like go face Edmund, You got a 17-year-old pitching against an 11-year-old, albeit he wasn't given his gas. The kid still ripped a single off him in the right field there. And I'm sure we all saw that, minus Joel. So just like giving the competition an extra leg up, right? Like we don't want to be able to suppress things just to cater to everyone. We'll probably give ourselves groups where like, okay, these guys are more recreational. I want to have, like, obviously there's travel in the States, there's next level, there's feeder schools for universities and high school teams that kind of play in the off season and blah, blah, blah. But at these younger age levels, I would love to see that happen versus the opposite, where I had to deal with some of my best friends not being able to play my league because they were just cracking home runs left and right, or they were striking everybody out. Maybe up that competition, or just give another avenue where these kids could probably play a year up or a year 2, 2 years up, or whatever it might be. I guess Peter's off, man.
He's coming back.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So
Yeah, yeah. So to build off that, Andrew, there's always opportunities where, I mean, obviously, again, we're focused on building the core, right? It's really building that foundation for baseball. So we have a long way to go, with that. And so, until we get to the point where, we have separating and actually having travel teams of kids that are, much higher skilled. So this is about building a foundation, a lasting foundation for the country. So, but yeah, well, the kids are there, and there's a lot of talent here in Belize. So, we will definitely we will push for those ones that maybe are excelling and give them other avenues to keep working and keep improving. So, yeah, I agree.
That's kind of my point, right, Rich? That's kind of my point is that we know, but all of us know in our minds, we're not going to say name call on this, but some of them are getting bored, right?
Mm-hmm. But I think part of that is also because I think part of that is you've got because we have the mixture in age groups. Once we build that out, and more kids are playing at their own age group, that makes a big difference. So yeah, and again, we're just giving experience based on what we see in Belmont Pond, in our little area with the kids we see all the time. So yeah. As we branch out into these other districts and have a unified structure and similar age groups, then we'll get more competition across those districts, and then the engagement from those kids will just will keep going. So,
yeah, I think Peter's point that there have been mistakes made in the U.S. in the organization. Okay, we need to learn from that. I know I was never involved in a organizational thing in the U.S. So, as I see it, we are a good organism. We are an organism that gets things done at a very small level and can create synergy. But
hang on. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome back, Peter.
Okay, that's all right, buddy. We got cut off, so hang on a second because we're gonna have to start this just from. Hey, Joel, I hate for you to repeat it, but you came on. Remember, and I said, Joel, go ahead.
Yeah.
Can you start from there?
We've been talking since then. I don't remember what I said.
Because I don't know. Yeah, but the problem is it's not recorded.
Okay.
Yeah, something went. I don't know what happened. Things shut down here. Just all of a sudden, everything went blank.
Well, it was actually so when a person leaves, the recording actually stays. So even though you're the host, Peter, it actually keeps recording. So it's been recording.
Is it still recording?
Time, still streaming. Still recording. Still streaming. Yep. Yeah, you're good.
Right. So where did you just end off when I came on?
Well, we've been talking about the whole.
Lessons learned. Right?
A question that your question is how do we not make the mistakes that the U.S. has made? Okay.
Okay. So I'm gonna just hang on a second because I'm gonna make sure our director has to cut this and edit it. So I want to make sure where we're at here.
Okay.
Okay. So that was the end of that, pretty much.
Yeah, I guess what I would like to say is that we are a good organism. We are at a local level a very good organism, and we get things done at that level. Okay. We aren't a good organization yet. And I don't know if all of us have some very positive things from the US that we can build on. I don't know if we understand totally all of the problems in the US, and maybe that's where you could help us understand that and overcome some of those problems. Because as we become organized, as we start to join the pony leagues, as we start to do some of these things that becomes an organization, then we need to understand what the problems have been in the U.S. and then we can avoid it.
Yeah, and by the way, congratulations on Pony Baseball, great organization. Glad you guys are joining that. Tell me about some of the issues that you might. Okay, now there's going to be some roadblocks. What do you think some of the roadblocks are, and how you're going to overcome some of those?
Well, a lot of roadblocks that we have here in Belize is support from the government. There's no facility and this and that. Everything we've been doing, like Coach Rich was saying earlier, we've been investing our own money. We've been pushing. We turn a baseball field in less than 2 hours a football field in less than 2 hours into a baseball field. And it turned out beautiful. Even the government of Belize had loved what we did. They said, how do you guys feel about adopting a field? What we need here is better structure and baseball to be played in every district, and for us to be a part of World Softball and Baseball Confederation, for us to be part of all those things, for the Caribbean Series, everything, and to send players out. And our goal here in Belize is to push hard for baseball from the age of 5 years up and send them to college, make prospects, send them to the Dominican Republic. We already have a scout from the Dominican Republic that wants to come to Belize and said, hey, if you guys have talented kids, less than 14, send videos, send pictures, and send them to the Dominican Republic. We're going to develop them from there, sign them hopefully to a major league team. And that's the biggest goal right there. They just had a kid from Belize that was in that big showcase in Miami, the Power Showcase. First time ever in history. And also there's a kid in Mexico. He's about 16 years old. He got drafted by the Diablos of Mexico, which is like a Major League Baseball team, the LMB, right? His name is Jordi Arias, right? And the kid's talented. The kid throws hard from the age of 13. He's been throwing 88 miles an hour, and he's Belizean. So the talent here, there's big kids, there's natural talent, there's no steroids, there's nothing, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Rice and beans, Belizean food.
And I want to ask you about that, because before I do, folks on Facebook, my apologies. I think maybe I didn't pay my electrical bill. Something happened. All of a sudden, everything went out. But these guys did a great job. They don't even need me as a host. You guys, great job. You just keep going, talking about Belize baseball. I know our guys on Facebook are excited here. We got some great baseball coaches on Facebook, really good ones. And I just want to take a question, and you guys could answer this. Matt Tollerini wants to know, when do you guys think Belize could make a pivot of having a forefront of prospect players being signed by international signing periods in the future for MLB? And Matt, just so you know, in the past, they've had a major leaguer, but when do you think that period can be in the future is what he's asking.
Next year. Next year.
And these are players that you've seen already, right?
These are players that we've been training before Coach Rich came to Belize and been a part with us. We've been training kids for about 5 years. And we have a couple of prospects. We got about at least 5 prospects of the age of less than 13. And Coach Rich has just added on to that. And these kids are getting better and throwing harder than some adults, you know. And the discipline that they have is even great. So next year we can see a prospect.
I share the passion with Tony. There, I don't know if we're quite there with one next year, but I think we're close with a few players. But I think 1 year might be a little bit aggressive. But
yeah, but
it's a little young.
Yeah,
the one I'm thinking of is a little young, so we're gonna have to work him a little bit harder.
What's nice about all this, Richard, is what I want to ask him before we do, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Rolando de Armas, Diamondbacks coach, also coach of the silver medal team, USA team in the Olympics this year in Tokyo, Japan. Great guy, great coach, been around the game a long time. This guy's awesome. Speaks Spanish, everything. But here's the other part. Talk about, because you mentioned the athletes. There's these young kids, they're athletic, a lot of them. What's the reason for that? I know a lot of Latin countries have athletic players, Caribbean kids. What kind of athletes we talking about, and why? I guess I'm asking how they develop and become athletes. What's the reason?
How?
I mean, I can't remember the guy, the Haitian gentleman that you were on with. We're talking about
Ernzo Pierre.
Pierre.
Give a shout out to Ernzo.
Pierre's sitting there mentioning about, you got to throw a rock at a mango to get a mango down.
We do.
You got to throw a rock at a coconut to try and get it down. Like all these natural things that they go about their daily lives. None of them are driving. They're all walking. They're all running. They're all chasing each other. They're chasing. I mean,
horses, cows,
cows, cattle, chickens. Like seriously, it's like you go back 100 years in American civilization where everyone's just harder and they were stronger. You have that type of genetic pool here where people are just naturally gifted, plus the competition that they yearn for, mixing it with like, okay, now I have access to YouTube, right? So now they're learning skills that we never really were able to develop until our later years. They're kind of taking what they have naturally, and in my opinion, it's boosted. It's definitely higher than what you see in the States. I'll be the first to say it. They have that extra gift. Now you're taking that knowledge and that experience of YouTube and being able to study and look at this and that. They're implementing that into their young bodies, and just their muscle memory is just there, and it's natural and it's beautiful.
Hey, do these kids go out and play on their own once in a while like we used to?
Yeah, these kids do all that. They probably
you're
play
frozen.
with tennis balls because what is hard right here is baseball gears, and they're running around barefoot. We're using stones or growing up, like Andrew was saying, I would use a rock and try to hit the mango down, but the objective was not to hit the mango, but the little stem that holds it, so you can eat that mango.
Gotta throw strikes.
And you gotta throw strikes. That's how I know I was gonna become a pitcher, you know. So that's what I did, and that gave me the love of baseball. I went to Chicago, been playing since then, and I never stopped. And I'm gonna keep going.
And I would say that the natural nutrition here kind of helps as well.
We ain't got much fast food, you know.
There's no GMO
McDonald's,
products. There's no GMO
You better hope that doesn't change, because if that changes,
the different conversation. But I see stuff being sprayed in the sky. But yeah, it's kind of
love
pray.
it.
All you can do is pray. But seriously, yeah, that it does take kind of a, you know, so there's an uptake in that just because you can pick anything off the trees that you just walking around. You have natural fruits and proteins and wonderful nutrients and vitamins that just help you recover, supplement.
Absolutely.
You know, that
love it.
That's a whole factor that I can say.
Go ahead, Joe.
Have a lot of video games, a lot of those things that are holding them back from being active. Okay,
right.
So they have very few things that they're passionate about. So again, dangling that carrot and getting them passionate and using their natural talents, win-win.
And the nice thing about all this social media, where we have, you know, all these different coaches around the U.S. That are, you know, running their own videos, indoor facilities, and running all types of drills. So we are, you know, we leverage. So every day, like, I think Andrew and I, and even Tony, every day we're exchanging on, look at this drill. This drill will be great. And so we're just all those resources that are out there, and we take those resources and apply those to our coaching to keep our kids more and more engaged, right? So practices don't become monotonous. So they're always mixing it up. Yep.
Perfect. Love that. I tell you what, everything you're saying is just sweet in my ears, because I love to hear all that stuff. What about, you know, you mentioned other sports, and it sounds like, you know, the kids love baseball there, but are there other sports that you've got to compete against?
Well, some of the kids that we train actually play on the national football team and play other sport, but a lot of them end up in the end of the day start loving baseball and stop doing football or stop doing basketball. They have more fun here because we do activities that they probably never used to do. We help them out. We give them baseball shoes, baseball pants from the donations that we get from people abroad. We want to say thanks to Juan Bustos and stuff like that from Baseball Without Borders. We want to say thanks to Gene Kenark from the baseball in Nicaragua, from RBI Baseball in Nicaragua, and a couple other people, you know, the girl, Kim Kinder. They have helped us out, and we even train women baseball. So everything is going great so far for us.
You know, Peter, it's funny because like there's a humongous soccer culture. They don't even play 11 on 11. Like they'll do anything. They'll set up little box-sized goals and just run that for
3 on 3, 6 on 6, whatever. Yeah.
Seriously, like they're. I mean, that's definitely a thing. And we're talking about he was bringing up the donations. When we went to those schools initially, they were all so interested in doing baseball. And the funny thing is that we all came up to the same conclusion that none of them could provide gear for the kids, so they never implemented a program. Well, here you go.
So basically, to ask you this, let's get into, you know, the needs, because obviously the needs are equipment, the needs are funding. I get out both of those. We're going to take your emails and we'll put it on the show notes if people need to reach out to you. Well, they'll have all the information. What other needs we talking about?
We're talking about baseball equipment, gloves and balls, which is very important. We're talking about the biggest need that we have here in Belize is a baseball field. So these kids can get a feeling how the ball rolls better, because doing it on a football field, it bounces too much. You know what I'm saying? So it has too much hop. So that's not good. But the biggest need is a baseball field. Baseballs and baseball gloves are the biggest needs that we have here.
But hey, on the flip side, Anthony, I'll throw this at you. I love, and I mean, I've been to Cuba 9 times, you know, been to the Dominican Republic. I've been all over the world, luckily, you know, thank God, everything. But, you know, what's neat about the part about, you know, the baseball fields, you know, on baseball fields right now is that these young kids that are playing on those, the ball's going to bounce a little bit, but when they have that nice field, it's going to be way easy for them.
Yeah, that exactly.
I mean, you're training kids to develop a lot better when the field's a little bit more rocky. I'm not saying one that's going to bounce and all the time and hit them in the face, but when it's a little tough, you know what, you're developing good athletes there. So I like that.
Absolutely.
And I understand you want to get to a field. I agree with you.
It's going to be easier. It's going to be like 1, 2, 3. And we also don't have a baseball mound, but we got the first ever baseball mound built in Belize down south that has nice lumber. They were going to charge us $300 and some Belize to build it, but they end up giving it to us for free for what we're doing here for the kids in Belize. It's pretty cool, man. You got to see the first ever baseball mound in Belize. Homemade wood right here.
Yeah, and we've actually, there's
Awesome.
a lot of resources out there. There's an organization. When I was living up in Camas, Washington, there was a former Major League Baseball player that runs an organization called Baseball Dudes. He's now in Tyler, Texas, so he's relocated. And he's got some phenomenal resources. He's building a new training facility there. So he has plans for building really good portable indoor mounds or outdoor mounds as well. So you're actually taking the mound that Tony's talking about, and it's even better, right? So there's all kinds of resources there. So I just give a plug to them because they've been great, a good resource. They have other great tools and resources on baseball fundamentals too. So
Hey, I'm curious, you know, like when you go to the schools or when kids, you know, you start introducing the game of baseball to them. I'm assuming kids are kids. They're all the same around the world. But the thing they love to do the most, hit. Is that what attracts them? Right. I asked that because, you know, to get them to play, you got to show them the fun part, right? You can't, you know, unfortunately, if you take a bunch of 6-year-olds or 7-year-olds or 8-year-olds and you try to play a real game, you're going to lose some of these kids. But you said it earlier. If soccer's taken and making smaller fields, a consideration, I'm just going to throw this out to you. A lot of countries have done this and they developed their sport really well. They've gone 5-on-5 when, you know, they make smaller fields and played 5-on-5 when they're young instead of having 9-on-9, because then, you know, they're always touching the ball a lot more and it's a lot more fun. So that could be a consideration.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I'll throw this at you, and I don't mean to.
Throw it at us.
He'll be back. He'll be back. I think his thing flipped over.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Like he's talking about it, and
Guys, sorry about that.
There you go.
Okay,
No worries.
all right, Peter.
Yeah.
You threw it at us.
The other thing I wanted to throw at you was, you know, a lot of times you have those big bats with the big barrels.
Yeah.
And they're real light, not the wiffle ball. You could use wiffle ball. We got the big barrel with the big ball. The reason I like those a lot more than anything else for young kids is because they love to swing and hit all the time. And when you use those type of devices, they're always hitting. They very rarely miss the ball. And that's exciting to them. So I throw that at you. When you said earlier, is there any advice? That would be my advice to you with the real young kids is look at those kind of things. There's a lot
it's interesting you say that you say that shorter, you know, that 5-on-5 concept, because what we do is when the rains would come up in the Pac Northwest, we would go indoors in the winter. So we would have a 6-on-6 pitching machine league. So you basically have a catcher, 4 infielders, and then basically a roaming outfielder there. And then, you know, you're 6-on-6 and you're playing a lot of fun indoor. So you could easily repurpose that and do outdoor down here. So it's a great idea.
In the States, hockey started it, you know, when they, instead of taking a full hockey rink, they made 3 games going the other way, you know, and obviously in the States at first, everybody went nuts, you know, oh, this ain't hockey, this ain't this, that. But then once they saw their kids having a lot of fun and touching the puck all the time, they not only was it fun for the kids, they stayed in the game longer because you guys hit it on the spot. The goal here is what? It's to get them to start and to keep them long-term, not to their 12, not to their 13, to as long as possible. And that's the goal. And I love what you guys are saying.
What we've been talking about with all of our contacts here in Belize, all over in Belize City and in down south in Independence and some of these places, you guys will learn these names. It's my keyword, my buzzword is legacy. There quite frankly is no legacy with sports here. They bask in glory days of these stages where it's like, man, you remember that game 20 years ago? It's like, well, what the hell happened with this 20-year span? What you're saying, what I said, you know, we're all saying is that we want these guys to be able to recirculate, keep that cycle going, and instead just we're going to ascend instead of just plateau. We don't want to ever fizzle out. You know, we legacy. You said
love
it.
it. Love it. Hey, listen, on that, first of all, I want to thank you guys for being on the show. I want to end it with this. And don't worry, we could continue if we've got another leeway here when it comes to information. Close it off. Tell us anything else that we haven't talked about Belize baseball, about your organization, what you're trying to do. What did we miss out to let people know in Copabe what's going on there in Belize? Anybody?
Yeah, guys, take a trip one day down to Belize and come see some Belizean baseball, you know, something different that you haven't seen. Belize can be one of the biggest baseball hubs, just like Dominican Republic, because it's boiling with talent. Come out and check us out. Come out and see me and Andrew play baseball. Come out and see me throw the Belizean bullet, you know. Come and see Coach Rich umpire the games and coach the team. Come see his son play Little League baseball. His son's very talented. The kids
What Tony fails to mention is that I actually can show up these guys on the baseball field still too. So I'm not that old.
I'm getting the impression Tony's trying to get signed. That's the impression I'm getting. He's doing a little politicking. Get the scouts down there. Come see him. By the way, I'm coming to Belize. I guarantee you, I will be there. I just don't know when exactly.
Welcome anytime.
I'm coming. You guys sold me, man. I'm coming. And I'm coming for the baseball. Then I'll, if I got time, do the rest of the stuff. But I'm coming for baseball because that's a passion.
Zip lining, waterfalls, mine ruins.
I don't know about zip lining. I'm getting too old for that kind of stuff.
Paradise.
Joel has a nice man's place above his house.
Hey, it's it.
I'll be there, man. Anything else, guys? And we'll close it off.
We didn't really get a chance to touch on it. It's like we're talking baseball and this and that, but a lot of our guys that we play on the senior team were, I'd say 95% of them are former softball players. Ah. So what we've done is we've taken a hand in converting a lot of these softball players into baseball players, and they have not looked back. And in fact, they have come to us with appreciation. Man, our game has improved. Like you couldn't imagine what could happen training baseball and then actually going to playing softball. It's a totally different world. So, everyone's benefiting from it, because they'll come practice with us on a Sunday in Belize City at the Marion Jones Stadium, actually the gold medalist, former gold medalist. But, we train at her facility right there in Belize City. They were with us for 2 hours and they go play a softball game directly after. And, they're dying to play this game so bad that they'll go spend 5 hours a day.
Love it.
Game alone.
So check us out. If people are interested, then go check us out. Look up the Youth Baseball Association of Belize. We have a Facebook presence there, right? So check us out there. You can see some of the stuff we're doing. And again, we're still in the midst of building our structure and our marketing effort and everything. So, but that'll give you a taste of some of the things we're doing there.
Absolutely. Folks, we're going to put that on the show notes also. The other thing I wanted to mention, you guys talked about it, the WBSC is going to be happy to hear what you said about women's baseball, because they're starting to develop women's baseball more and more, and I will put you in touch with them. I think that's a great project right there.
We train a little girls softball team into baseball, and the girl is actually talented in baseball and she can outshine guys. So we push for women baseball too. Like Coach Rich was saying, we train a softball player and she loves it. She comes every day, and it's just been a pleasure to be working with women too.
You literally hear those kids, like our boys that we've been working with for 3 years, and this girl disappeared for 2, and she took one crack at a batting practice, and you heard them up, why she hit better than you. Like they all see it. Like,
yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Girls are ready, man.
Yep.
All right, guys. Anything else?
Just thank you again for giving us this platform, Peter.
No, are you kidding? I mean, you're helping me out also. We're helping each other. I'm here any way I can help. There's a lot of associations I know. I'll put a shout out to as many people as I can. We're trying to help as many countries as possible, especially the ones that are starting to develop grassroots level. You guys have a huge advantage. You're talking about a large population. A lot of players are going to be playing the game, and great talent, obviously, and you can play all year round. There's so many benefits to what you're doing there, and you guys are heading in the right direction. That's what I love to hear. Joel?
Yeah, just so everyone knows, we're trying to build this stadium down in Belmopan, and we are looking for donations. We're putting together a GoFundMe page right now. It'll outline exactly what we're trying to do and how much money we're trying to get. We're trying to get both U.S., Canada, and Belize companies to put in and be sponsors of this baseball league and baseball diamond. So that's something that'll be out in about the next 2 weeks. It'll have a video that'll show you exactly what we're about. It give you exactly what we're trying to do and what our goal is as far as monies, and start talking to businesses and individuals about donating for our cause.
Yeah, guys. Less than $120,000 US, guys. Less $100,000 US, guys. That's all we're asking for. I mean, 50,000 US. That's all we're asking for, so we can build this field. Anything counts. $1 adds up, guys.
All right, folks, and we're going to put that on the show notes. We'll get that FundMe page when you guys have it. We'll get it up for you. We'll put it on our social media also. Hey, Anthony, Andrew, Joel, Richard, got to thank you, man. I know it's not easy doing a podcast, with 4 people on there. You guys did a fantastic job. As a matter of fact, you guys could have just kept running, man. I could have walked and had dinner, and you guys could have kept going and done a fantastic job. I didn't even have to be here.
We thought we bored you.
No, not at all. No. This is not a boring group. This is a group not only that's exciting, but you guys also understand what it takes to develop the sport at the grassroots level and how to take it long term. Trust me, I don't know everything, but I've been around a lot of countries. I've been around the game a long time. I got an idea when I see somebody that understands how to develop the sport. Because I've been very critical, even in the US, about how we've done things here. And I've been constructively critical because I believe, I'm going to go back to this and I'll end it with this. You're never going to develop a sport without coaches. That's my final comment. Without good coaching, you will not develop a sport, simply because kids won't stay in the game without good coaches. And not only mentally, but physically, because they're not going to get any better. And if they don't get any better and they're not having fun, because fun is what? Fun is me as a 10-year-old, 12-year-old. If I'm striking out, if I can just hit a ground ball, that's fun, because I might even get on base. But if I'm not doing that because I'm not getting the right instruction and all that, as good as I do, we're not going anywhere. And I keep pushing for coaches programs. And you guys have really got a great idea. You're taking the players that have played for you and you're putting them right under there. You couldn't ask for better coaches than that. Nothing against volunteers. They're great people. But when you could take players and put them there, boy, you're heading in the right direction. And I want to wish you guys the best of luck, man.
Thanks for having us, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very
folks,
much.
Those are the guys from Belize Baseball. I'm Pete Caliendo. This is Copave Play Ball. Remember, stay safe, stay healthy. God bless you, and we'll see you on the next show.